Welcome to an all-new Build Out live stream. You can join the stream every Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time, exclusively here on LinkedIn. The stream will be starting in just 1 minute. In the meantime, let me take this opportunity to talk about the graphic design platform that I use to create the social media graphics, overlays, and studio graphics for the Build Out series. Canva is both an online platform for your desktop and laptop, and also offers an app for smartphones and tablets. With the Canva graphic design platform, you can easily create social media, presentations, posters, documents, and other visual and video content. While there is a free version, Canva is best when using the affordable Canva Pro subscription and Canva Enterprise. So if you want to build out your social media and visual content, you need to use Canva. I'll make it easy for you to sign up. Just use the referral link provided on this stream's event post or in the video description with this stream's recorded posted to my YouTube channel. Okay, now let's get this Build Out live stream started. Today on Build Out, my guest is Jake Landon, who is a digital wizard and founder of Media Pulse Agency. Jake and I will have a conversation on the topic of digital analytics. Okay, let's get this conversation started. Hey Jake, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Jim?
Real good, real good. I don't know if you remember, I think it was probably back in February, you were my test stream guest for LinkedIn Live.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that. That was a lot of fun to go through that with you. And you've come along so much now. I saw that ad with Canva on there. I love Canva, so I can't agree more with that. I love what you're doing. I love where you're going, and it's amazing what you're doing right now.
Oh, I appreciate it. And I appreciate having you on as a guest as well, especially talking about this important topic. You know, before we would go into digital analytics and have our conversation, could you provide a little background about yourself, and then also to talk about Media Pulse Agency, what you guys do?
Sure. So I've always worked in marketing and advertising. I worked in the protective coatings industry for a while at a technology publishing company. I worked for publishers and small businesses. I ended up opening Media Pulse. So originally, it was going to be a not-for-profit. And I started it during COVID when everything started to ramp up, just to help small businesses that I noticed, like, you weren't on Google. You couldn't find them. They didn't have a website. It ended up snowballing into something much bigger. I had a lot of mentors and mutual friends that we know together that have helped me along the way. And it ended up being much bigger than I ever thought it would be. So we've grown like steadily ever since, and it's been a lot of fun. Honestly, I love helping out small businesses, and that's who we help out, is small to medium-sized businesses.
Yeah, definitely. And I follow you on LinkedIn, and obviously you and I have known each other for some time now. Working in my current role and your past role, and I really appreciated your insight, your experience, but also too your attitude that you have regarding when it comes to digital media and presence and branding and everything like that. So a lot of wealth of information. So I greatly appreciate the insights that you've provided to me and the guidance you provided me, because if you go back and you look at where I started. Let's say back at the beginning of the year with live streaming and content, where I'm at now is people like you. In fact, in the outro, I do pay honor to you by saying that you inspired me, and I greatly appreciate your friendship and everything. So,
the feeling's mutual, Jim. I loved watching you grow on here and giving you help, tips, feedback, and being your friend in general has been great.
Excellent. And so for the viewers, this is what Jake and I are going to be covering today. We're literally talking about the importance of digital analytics, the value of it. Also, too, I'm going to provide a short video review regarding digital marketing. There will be a link in the comments and also on the YouTube channel video description. And then obviously we want you, the viewers, to participate, post comments, ask questions, and things like that. We do have someone here. Good, almost afternoon. I'm gladly finally able to make one of these live shows. So I really appreciate the viewers who do catch the shows. And also, too, if you do miss the shows, they do go up onto my YouTube channel. And I will post clips from the show as well, and then links to get to the replay, let's say, on my YouTube channel. Jake, in looking at why digital analytics is important, I'm going to read to you one of the clinical definitions. So in my research, when I looked at digital analytics, there's so many different definitions for it. And for me, it seems like it was more challenging for me to try to get a full understanding of exactly what it is. And I think that's why, experts are brought in, and you have a lot of people who are experts, and also too, they have the experience and the knowledge to be able to help lay people like myself navigate through all this digital media. But a clinical definition of digital analytics is the analysis of qualitative and quantitative data from business activities and the competition associated with the drive for continual improvement of the online customer experience and attraction of potential customers, which impacts your bottom line. Now that's the clinical definition. What's the Jake Landon definition?
Yeah, it's a pretty broad definition, and I would say I agree with that. But my answer that I would say to a new client is digital analytics is incredibly important, especially with COVID going on. Everything has moved to online. Email marketing has skyrocketed since COVID started. People thought it was dead. I can tell you it is not dead at all. So digital analytics is really getting that footprint of your customers and really getting to know who your customers are. There's such a rich wealth amount of data out there that everybody leaves with their IP address and your iPhones and your smartphones and tablets, that marketers are able to ethically, and some not so ethically, target you and send out content to you. So really getting to know who your clientele are, who your potential customers are, even who your competitors are. They're looking at your website and your marketing activities. It's like its own online ecosystem. So think of like the physical world, and then the internet is its own world. So I like to tell people I translate the internet for them.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people go back and look at like the Matrix. When you think about it today, we have obviously a physical life, but we have a digital life and a digital presence. But the days of just having a static or a basic website is it's going to be a detriment to you. You have to be able to utilize that as a part of your business, but also too, it provides a lot of information and data when it comes to engagement, marketing, and to your point, providing just-in-time information and content that a client, a prospect wants to be able to do, hopefully to do business with you.
Right. And I will say most people want to, I do a free consultation with people to see if we can work with each other. And 9 out of 10 times they want to start doing paid ads right away. And I spend 90% of my time talking people out of doing paid ads right away. And I want them to focus on content marketing. So getting that blog out there, building your email list, posting evergreen content, and building your website up. So I always say, like, treat your website as if it's your house. And if you're going to start paying for ads, you want to have a really nice looking house, right? Before you start paying for ads. Otherwise, you're just paying for ads and having people look at your house and they're going to leave immediately. And that's called a bounce. So one of the guys who like helped found Google, he said a bounce rate is I came, I looked, I puked, I left. So obviously you don't want to like have a disgusting looking house, right? So you want your website to be a plethora of information, and not just a sales pitch. You want to have content on there that's engaging to people. A bounce rate is anything that is less than 30 seconds and they leave without clicking on something. So you want to have people on your website for at least 30 seconds. Like, people's attention span can be like half a second. If you go on Google, type in something you're looking for, the website has slow load time. 99% of people are just going to back right out and go to the option 2. So there's so much involved with it, but the most important thing is make sure you have a solid website. Make sure it's fast. Make sure it follows all the best practices. The best practices go on and on and on. But HubSpot's like a great resource. Our blog's a great resource. The Media Pulse blog. We like do like bite-sized tidbits of information to follow, because we know it's difficult for small businesses to digest that information. So explaining it in bite-sized form is a lot better than going and telling them, like, let's talk about how Google's BERT algorithm works. And that's really like the meat and potatoes is the algorithms, but that goes way over people's heads. So I like to explain it more like a house that you're advertising.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my experience with algorithm is going to be dealing with YouTube. I'm closely approaching 1,000 subscribers, and
Congrats.
Oh, thank you. And what's ironic about it is almost 80% of my views for my videos come from non-subscribers, and it's tied to how I obviously tag everything. There are times where I might get a couple thousand views of a video, and it's from all different corners of the world, and it's definitely attributed to the tags that I put in there. So even for myself being kind of a novice in this, there's probably a lot more that I can do. And I started using the YouTube Shorts, and I've had a couple successes with that to help drive awareness of content. But I'll be quite honest, there's so much when it comes to the Google Analytics. When you're looking at AdSense and Google Ads and everything like that, it's very difficult to solely yourself navigate that. And I know you work with a lot of clients, and what's your experience, or what's your clients' experience in relationship to where they were before they met you and after they met you?
So most of them, they want to learn everything right off the bat, and then it ends up being, okay, this is too much information. What do I actually need to know? And it turns into the same conversation we had about the house, and I give lots of analogies to not bore people to death about algorithms. But whenever it comes to like what the client needs out of us, we believe in like transparency. So we use what's called Trello. A lot of people use it, and we put on there like requests. You can see anything that we're doing that's dealing with like SEO, best practices, all the analytics stuff we put on there, because we're constantly giving reports out. But Google Analytics itself is great. It's free to use. It has a plethora of information on there. You can take courses online for free from Google, and they have like a video series about it. But they just came out with Google Analytics 4, which uses a Firebase Analytics backend, which is more customizable. And I know a lot of people that are probably listening to this are wondering, what is that? It just allows for more triggering, allows for you to do a lot of custom APIs and whatnot on there. So it's just it's more geared towards marketing people than the business owner, where Google Analytics, you could look at it as a business owner and go through the tabs on there and kind of get a good idea. So you can see like who your gender is, your audience, how old they are, their demographics, their affinity categories, where they shop at, where they're located, stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's powerful information, because it can kind of really help you fine tune your business operation, but also to what products and services are doing well, what content is doing well. When it comes to even to geographical regions. And I think yesterday we had in a pre-stream conversation. You're currently working with a client that's involved in gluten-free bakery items. Would you want to share any information about what their metamorphosis is currently going on right now?
Yeah, so they're in upper north Pennsylvania, and they have some of the most insane analytics I've ever seen. It's called Gluten Free by D&D. She sent me her products, and my God, they are the most delicious bakery items I've ever had. And I don't know if anyone who's tried gluten-free stuff, it's usually a pretty big disappointment. This is stuff that like I would go out of my way to get. So whenever I did a deep dive into her analytics for her, I came up with a proposition for her to move actually towards Pittsburgh, and it would be way more profitable for her. So whenever we were talking about qualitative and quantitative data, like the qualitative data would be asking, well, how come you're not making this trip up here to Gluten Free by D&D? So that would be things like, well, we didn't try that. We didn't know that there was an alternative that actually tasted this great. The quantitative data is looking at like how many people are coming and searching for a gluten-free bakery that is absolutely amazing and sells at like all these different shops across Pennsylvania and ships all over the place. So with that data, we were able to take and see where like the majority of the people are in Pennsylvania are, and she's actually going to open up a new shop located a little bit north of Pittsburgh.
Well, and what's really unique about this, obviously, in looking at the data and analyzing, like you said, the web information and things like that, it gives an opportunity for maybe one day. How do we know, or how does she know that this is not a franchise opportunity?
I mean, we have talked about that. So we like to do like the 1 year plan, the 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. I love whenever we get to the 10 year plan. So it's like in the 10 year plan, like hypothetically speaking, we're talking about like little pop up shops that open up for her, franchise shops and whatnot. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is like if we would have never met, she could have met with another marketing agency. But what we do is kind of different. We treat everybody like our number one client, like a big agency would. That's why we only take on select clients at a time, so that we're not treating the people as if they're not our number one client.
Yeah, so, definitely.
So whenever she got to meet with us a couple of times and we go over everything, we kind of lay out like a business plan. Like, what's your business objectives? What do you want to do? What do you see your profit at? We look at how much, like, you know, the cost of goods are, how much everything costs. And we always try to get obviously the most bang for the buck that you can, right? So whenever we do that, we look at an overall business strategy, and it just so happened with her company, bakery, that's amazing, that it will do really, really well near Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I can see that. I can't wait to try it. I've had bakery items that were gluten free, and you're right. I think it's very difficult to really come up with a very unique taste, and so I'm kind of looking forward to trying it out. In fact, I might want to take a drive up north just to try it out. It sounds really delicious.
Good. I'll send you some.
There we go. So let's go ahead and let's move on to the next topic, which is, you know, really focusing on the value of data analytics, you know, and really looking at web analytics. You know, we're analyzing, you know, basically the functionality and what your website's actually producing. But also too, looking at marketing channels and things like that. Because we were talking earlier where you said sometimes clients want to go out and go right to digital ads. But then there's a lot of platforms that you can actually do, let's say, unpaid ads in a way through content. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, 9 out of 10 clients that I do a meeting with, they want to do paid ads like right off the bat. Because, you know, as soon as you have like a Facebook business page or you have a Google My Business account, you just start getting hounded with, well, here's an ad credit for this, here's an ad credit for that. I like to call like their ads that people can do like the consumer end of it. So there's a whole nother part of Facebook that most people don't even know about, and that's more of like the marketing end. So people have heard of like the Facebook Business Suite, but they don't know about the Facebook Business Manager, and that's like where the magic happens with ads and whatnot. But like I was saying before about the comparison with having a house that's not well put together, well, there's no point in paying for ads if your house isn't put together. So whenever you're thinking of a house that's put together, right, you're going to a family party, you want to have somebody that's good at telling stories. They are lively. They keep your attention. So thinking in terms of a website, what does that look like? That looks like a blog. That looks like evergreen marketing materials. That looks like videos. You know, just free bits of information, and it's not just a cold hard sales pitch. So content marketing, like blogs, email blasts, building your own list by yourself without paid ads at first is so important.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, I think when you're looking at the social media platforms that are out there, Obviously from my experience, LinkedIn has been really a go-to for me. YouTube has been valuable for me too, and putting content out there, because there's a way, obviously live streaming, you can do a lot of content without making it an ad. And, maybe you're talking about a certain element. Maybe you make some products into an industry or provide services. Maybe you talk about that technology or about that aspect of the industry or that service. You're not making it a pitch, but in a way you're informing and educating people. And then, oh, by the way, if you have a company and this is what you do, obviously that's a good way for people to reach out to you and say, I heard you talking about it on your live stream. Could we go into a little bit more depth and detail? Because, maybe there's an opportunity between us to do business together. So, I definitely encourage, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, really any size business, to look at social media platforms and content to be able to help drive sales as well.
Yeah. And it's a great way to, like, if you're a new brand, right, and you have a new, fresh website, like the first thing you gotta do is get a Google My Business account, so you're found on Google. That's king right now, above SEO even. But the content marketing, that's really getting like data from clients that are looking for you already, and you're extrapolating that data without paying for it, besides like the upfront cost for the website, the domain, and all that. But you get to really see like who your clients are that are interested, who are searching for you already. So you get a good base for who they are, because that happens all the time with all of my clients. We will we'll take an educated guess, right, of what the demographic and psychographic profile will look like. And then out of nowhere is a curveball. Like, let's say we think it's going to be geared towards 45 to 55-year-old females, and all of a sudden it's like 30-year-old men that are way more interested in it. It happens all the time, and we usually find that out through content marketing.
Yeah, and to really, I think what it speaks to, that data on its own is not valuable. You have to put that context behind it. And so having an expert like yourself really kind of analyzing that data, that information, because you might have an anomaly, or let's say an outlier kind of happen for you, and you might say, hey, I need to do this, and then you find out that that particular data point was just something that was kind of unique and not something that's probably repeatable. So looking at trends, and I think you focus a lot on trends as well. Let's talk a little bit about, where do you see things kind of heading towards when it comes to trends? What are some of the trends that are going to be coming up here into 2022 and beyond that you think?
In terms of which way do you want to go? Do you want to go with like consumer privacy, or do you want to go with more of like content marketing?
Well, I think,
together.
just before we went live, we had a quick conversation a couple of minutes before we went live, and we were talking about, obviously, with Apple, the iOS 15, and we were talking about the privacy setting and stuff like that. I mean, did you want to go into that a little bit, because that's something that's currently happening right now for people with Apple product?
I'll share with the audience what I told you earlier. I did like a little test to see. I updated. It's by choice right now. You can do iOS 14.9 or 14.8, I think it is, or iOS 15. So I did the iOS 15, and I have a whole bunch of test emails that I use for clients just to see what they look like in each browser and whatnot. And I did turn on the Apple Mail privacy protection. I turned on all privacy protection. So you're not supposed to be able to see, according to Apple's privacy protection, me opening up that email. And I sent an e-blast out right before our stream today. And I went on there and I clicked on it with every single one of my emails that's protected through the privacy protection with the new iOS. And I was able to see not only clicks, but my email. So I was a little taken back that I was able to still see that information with that. With that said, Apple has done a really great job with cross app tracking. So that would be, I don't know, let's say you go to Auto Shop and you download their app, and they track your Amazon purchases and what you're doing, how your phone calling people, what you're doing on social media. So now there's like a whole privacy tab, and it asks to track you across apps. And originally marketers thought like, around 60% of people would like opt into that. And it's more like 100% of people are opting into it. Nobody wants to be tracked. Obviously, I couldn't believe when marketing places were saying only 60% of people were going to do it. That ended up being a major flop. And you could see how Facebook took it. They literally took out a 2-page spread in the New York Times with an anti-Apple thing saying it was going to hurt small businesses. Well, it did not hurt small businesses because that's primarily who I work with. You just have to be good at making ads and targeting your clients and reaching them. So I think it's a good thing where it's going with privacy, because we have to get creative again. We don't just go on a computer and let the AI target people. It's, you have to use your brain and make a strategy with it. So I'm excited about all the privacy that's coming up. Not necessarily for emails, because that's my favorite. I heart emails. So it's going to be a little bit of a sting for me to see those metrics go away, which inevitably they will. But it doesn't mean that they're any less important.
Yeah.
And we've all seen that with COVID. Email marketing has gone through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, same thing. And also changes to algorithms have definitely, I look at it as more of an evolution, as privacy. Privacy is huge. It's important. I mean, when we're looking at some of the, the attacks that have happened on companies and things like that, that transcends even down to individual level as well. And, a lot of it, you've got to be able to have some safeguards in place, but it also forces, marketing agencies and agencies like yours to kind of evolve and to look at new ways of doing it, approaching data, and then also to how to go out and market. So it's just part of the, part of the process, part of the evolution. So, and really looking at some of the social media trends, we're currently not quite 100% out of, let's say, some of the restrictions we have. There's still a lot of companies having blended work, essentials in the office, and then most of the staffs being, working remote or working from their home.
Right.
How much of an impact, I think we even mentioned it earlier, how much of an impact will COVID have, the pandemic have, with changes when it comes to social platforms and social media and things like that?
It's going to have a permanent effect for sure. So we've seen TikTok go from, it was like teenagers using it, preteens, to everybody up into like, grandmas and grandpas are on there. Then everybody has TikTok now. I've caught myself being on TikTok for 3 hours, and that pre-COVID, nobody would have ever thought that a bunch of us over 30s, 50 years old were on TikTok, but here we are. So anything's possible. And, COVID taught me that to expect the unexpected, really. Like that, who would have ever guessed that TikTok would have been popular among like 45 to 65-year-old males? It's like, it's silly to think of, but it's so addicting when you go on there. And we're talking about algorithms. Well, TikTok's algorithm is top notch. That's why you go on there. It's like they know you. It's like a friend is telling you, like, this is what you'll laugh at. This is funny. This is what you'll like. So I'm expecting more things like that to pop up, and more innovations like that. The one app that I had was Clubhouse.
Yeah.
That was really popular. Like, remember whenever it was like invitation only? And
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I was on there. We got you an invite on there, and that was really unique. And I think it's open now to everybody, or you can send invites to everybody now.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, I loved it back whenever we were on there, like having like our small little groups on there. But it was awesome because I got to meet people like celebrities and stuff that I never thought I would ever get to meet. And I actually met a handful of like my first clients on there, and I was totally not expecting that at all. I would just go on there, host a room about free digital marketing help, and tell them like how to put a favicon on, or how to install Facebook analytics on their website or import a bot or something like that took me like a second to tell them, and then they want more information. So that's like how our blog ended up taking off, was literally from Clubhouse requests. People were asking, how do you do this? How do you do that? We ended up making our Instagram pretty much a Clubhouse portal, because that's like the only way you could really get out there was from Twitter or Instagram on Clubhouse. You'd click on the link and then you could put the link in your bio on Instagram, right? So we had a Clubhouse request, like whenever you clicked on our link and people would put in there like what they wanted requested, we would just write content based on that.
Yeah, that's really good. I haven't quite, figured out TikTok. Clubhouse, I loved Clubhouse, but for some reason I just have not figured out how to incorporate that. For me, it's been primarily looking at, okay, I've got LinkedIn, that's primary. I've got a YouTube channel. Twitter, now that some of the for live streaming is being fixed with the Periscope integration, I'm going to be looking to do more live streaming out, probably out to Twitter as well. I'd like to grow that. And then the other aspect is with Instagram and IGTV. I know that obviously everyone knows that Facebook owns Instagram, but it's interesting to see where Instagram is, and I like Instagram more than I do Facebook. I'll say that.
I do too.
And it's an irony because they're owned by Facebook, but like I say, maybe Facebook, the things that I'm not going to talk about them, the negative things that I, have it for me for Facebook, maybe they'll change. I don't know. Twitter, a lot of people can say the same thing about Twitter. There's, obviously an element of Twitter that seems to be very combative. But I think Twitter still has an opportunity to change and to reinvent itself. So, I'm holding hope out with Twitter.
Yeah, I do too. And you see with Instagram, whenever TikTok really blew up, then they introduced Reels. And when Facebook bought them, they ended up, or merged with them, whatever happened with that, they ended up putting on the longer videos that you had to click onto. So they keep innovating, and it's to keep eyeballs on, obviously. So it's a free product for us to go on there and get entertained by it. So the whole point is to get advertisers to spend money on that platform. And what happens on there is they want your eyeballs to be glued to the phone for as long as possible. So their AI is going to give you content that you like. That's why TikTok's so addictive, and a lot of people are addicted to Facebook. I'm not. I'm glad to hear that you're not, because you get trapped in like what I call little social spheres. So I like to call it rage clicking. So people like to click on stuff like on Facebook that they're angry about, instead of something that makes them feel good or happy. Where Instagram is more of a like, oh, that's cute, or that looks cool, I like that, like it. Facebook's more of like a rage click, I call it. So you get put into these little spheres, and the artificial intelligence on there just keeps feeding you more and more rage, I like to say. So I always tell people, like, just detox off Facebook for a while, delete it off your phone, go on it like on your computer only or something. Take a break on social media, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Earlier you were talking about with HubSpot. There's a lot of resources, obviously, for your firm. You have a resource that's available for people to take a look at, a digital library and content and information. And so what I wanted to do, I just have a quick video that I'm going to play here, and it's regarding actually for a HubSpot blog on, what is digital marketing, because some of the questions that I tend to get through some of the streams here that I'm doing is, exactly what is it, what's it entail, and everything like that. And it's such a broad opportunity, the different types of content out there, not just digital ads, but stuff that you can do that's free and very impactful. So, Jake, if you could hold on, I'm just going to play this quick overview here. And then for the viewers, I'll put in the stream after we're done here. I'll put in the LinkedIn post the link to get to this blog post, and then also it'll be on my YouTube channel and the video description when it goes up onto YouTube later today. So hold on, Jake. I hope that you're finding value in today's conversation with Jake Landon from Media Pulse Agency on the topic of digital analytics. I recently read an interesting HubSpot blog titled, "What is Digital Marketing?" And I recommend that you check it out after today's stream. HubSpot defines digital marketing as an umbrella term for all company or organizational online marketing efforts. In the blog, HubSpot details how businesses leverage digital channels such as Google Search, social media, email, online advertising, and websites to connect with their customers, clients, and new prospects. So after the stream ends, you'll find a link in the HubSpot blog post in the comment section of this LinkedIn live stream, as well in the description on the stream's recording on my YouTube channel. Okay, now back to Jake to finish our conversation on digital analytics. So, while we were in the video there, Mike Lamont posted something real interesting. Rage click media uses this tool. I do like that term, rage click. I might want to steal that and use that. So, but
that was something I did in grad school. I made an entire thesis on rage clicking. I loved it. It was like something that I made a conversion for it and to see if it was rage clicking or not. And rage clicking, you can actually see people like tap, 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 tap. Like they actually get enraged over it. And you can actually see that on the analytics on your website. It's kind of funny, but sad at the same time there, everybody's putting these little spheres.
Yeah, creating the silos and everything like that. So for our final topic, we're going to talk about examples of digital analytics for marketing. Now, these are just some basic things. There's a lot more to it. I think you and I said before the stream, we could probably spend a whole day talking about really when it comes to digital analytics, the different aspects that are out there.
We could spend a whole year talking about it.
But obviously, I think some of the basic ones, the ones that most people, again, like I say, hopefully I'm correct on this when you're looking at a small and medium-sized business. Obviously website traffic, understand exactly where your traffic's coming from. And then also to your point, are they spending 30 seconds or more? And what pages are they visiting and what are they accessing on those pages? Could you speak a little bit about website traffic and how critical it is? And then what are some of the key areas to look for website traffic?
Right. So website traffic is obviously really important. And most website traffic comes from the major search engine, which is Google. Everybody uses Google. Some people use DuckDuckGo. Some people use Bing, usually if it's like a corporate owned place and that you have corporate laptops and whatnot. But most of it is coming from Google. So Google, by definition, they are a publisher for ads, right? So to really do well with your website is like the best thing you could do if you're into that and you're a small business owner, a large business owner, whatever. Go to the publisher's blog for Google and look at the web developer blog. I get it every single morning and read it. Read that and you'll stay on top of everything. It's literally something you have to do every single day. You have to go through it, have best practices, have best SEO practices, have ethical marketing, follow all the laws and everything, make your website accessible for, people with different disabilities and whatnot. If they are vision impaired and they want to be able to click on an image and have it say what it is with an alt text that actually defines what that image is instead of a bunch of keywords. So really the game with that is to follow all the best practices. Don't do black hat SEO. That's like a 90s term. A lot of people will laugh at that in marketing. I don't think anyone that's doing black hat SEO anymore is staying in business. It's basically like keyword stuffing, but that obviously doesn't work anymore.
It's interesting on the evolution on it, and in addition to that, obviously, you want to look at exactly, who's returning back to your site, the length of the sessions that they have, the pages they most visit, exit rates, bounce rates, as you were saying earlier, and conversion too, because if you're driving people to your site, obviously you want them to get information, to access information, but also too, if you do have any type of a shop set up, and most people do, it could be digital products, it could be physical products, or it could be just booking services and things like that. So obviously, it's really important to have the right way to get them to convert from, let's say, thinking about a purchase to actually pulling the trigger and making a purchase.
Right. And that's like going along with the whole purchase decision. It's like for business to consumer and business to business, it's pretty much the same thing, with business to business having a little bit more hesitation than the business to consumer, obviously, because you have a boss to justify your purchase with. But I would like to say, out of all of the analytics that you have, everybody goes to impressions. Everybody is like, that's the thing everybody wants to know is what are the impressions? What are the impressions? Because that's a big number. And I found a lot of like marketing agencies, they love to talk about impressions. This is how many impressions you can get. Well, this is what I tell all of my clients every single day is that I'm pretty sure I told you this multiple times. If you go to a dog park, right, and you walk past, a dog's remnants after it went to the bathroom, that's an impression. You walk past it again, that's another impression. Walk past it again, that's another impression. But are you ever going to buy that? No. No one's going to buy that. So impressions are a good, like, marketers love to give that because it's a big, beefy number. But impressions to me are pretty much a garbage analytic. The only time that impressions really count are like for big multi-billion-dollar companies that are doing like branding campaigns. Then impressions count. But for a small, medium, even larger size business that doesn't do multi-billion-dollar contracts every year, like big beverage and stuff like that, impressions don't mean hardly anything, right? So anyone that's doing paid ads, if you're doing paid ads and you're listening to this right now, please change it from impressions to cost per click, cost per thousand, just anything but impressions, unless you're doing a branding campaign. And what I mean by that is if you're already a big household name that everybody in America and the whole world knows, and you have like a PR nightmare, then you want to do impressions. But if you're not that, steer clear of impressions. That's my advice for the day.
Yeah, smart advice on that. Smart advice. Jake, we covered a lot in earlier, as we said, you and I could spend probably days talking about the topic on digital analytics. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would want to leave with the viewers before we end the stream?
Follow the Webmaster blog on Google and just stay on top of it. So, like, best practices with Google right now is Google My Business. It is the number one thing to be found. It's trumping SEO right now, and that's a big thing. So if you don't have Google My Business set up, it's really easy to do. You just literally type in Google My Business, type in your business name. They send you a postcard. If you don't know how to do it, I'll send you a link to a blog that I made about it. They just send you a postcard. You verify that you got the postcard. It's a legitimate business, and then you can start posting offers on there. It's all free. Obviously, the end game is to get you to pay for advertising at the end, but that is the number one way right now that's free, is utilizing Google My Business and utilizing anything through social media that's new. So on Instagram, here's a little hint. Instagram, whenever you post something on there, edit it afterwards and add alt text to the image. So that it's ADA accessible, whatever, so that people with impaired vision can use Instagram and get that alt text on there. But just make sure you're actually saying what the image is and not just keyword stuffing it, because keyword stuffing gets you nowhere.
Interesting. That's great recommendations and advice on that. Jake, for people who want to get in contact with you, best just to connect with you on LinkedIn?
I have like 500 unread messages on LinkedIn right now. The best way is to, you can either send me an email. My email is just jake@mediapulse.us, or you can go on to mediapulse.us and schedule a consultation with us. We use an integration called CaLae. It's awesome. You guys can pick whatever time you want to. We do 15 minutes for free. and there's no pressure. We don't sell. I say I've never sold anything in my life at Media Pulse. I let the clients come to us, and uh, we just enjoy helping people.
Yeah, definitely. And I can speak to that, knowing you, Jake, and also obviously, as a friend working with you on some things. So I've got a big question for you. Your shirt you're wearing, it says, "I love build out."
It says I heart email, but I do heart build out. This
I
is
had to ask
from,
that question.
it's from Litmus. I don't know if some people on here will know what Litmus is,
Yeah.
but do you know what Litmus is, Jim? I think I talked to you
Yes,
about it
I've,
before.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
They're big on email. So email marketing is big right now. Even if you can't afford Litmus, because it's kind of pricey, but it gives you a preview of what it looks like in every single type of web browser possible and every sort of mail application out there to see what it will look like in dark mode, what it will look like on Outlook
Wow. Yeah.
2012, 2003. There's so many different rendering issues that can happen. So Litmus is a really great tool to use, but they also have an incredible blog on there like HubSpot, but it's all
Hmm.
just like email specific. And whenever you're looking for ideas for how to change up your email marketing, how to increase your open rate, how to make it, um, you know, friendly for the users to go on, I highly recommend going to Litmus and just reading their blog.
Excellent. And then one other thing for you. Would you want to speak a little bit about your mentoring group?
Which one?
The one we were talking about yesterday with
uh,
with the university students. Can you talk about that?
oh yeah, so we do a mentorship program, and it's kind of like whenever our mutual friend Pat's, like, he took me under his wing and mentored me a little bit, and like, what a great guy. So
I agree.
I ended up saying, like, to myself, like, I can't believe there's people out there like that like just genuinely want to help they don't want anything in return. And that's how I am. And I just couldn't believe, like, there's people like me, you, Tats, and so many others out there. So I created my own mentorship program where college students can get in with us. They can work on live websites, get the actual analytics, and see. We even will hire people on afterwards, and if not, we'll give them a stellar recommendation, have them on their way to working at an agency. But it's a step above, a sandbox. Like, you can only do so
Yeah.
much in, like, say, a Salesforce Peridot sandbox and like a Google Analytics sandbox. Like, you can only do so much. Real world data is where it's at, and that's something that's always been close to me, because going to college and going to get my master's degree in marketing, like, I didn't learn the skills that I needed. I learned all of that by exterior activities, like going through HubSpot courses, going through the Facebook marketing certification, like, and it's stuff like that I want to help students with, because whenever people are looking for marketers, they're looking for people like me that are like experts in this area now, where you don't really become an expert until you mess up a couple hundred or 1,000 times.
Yeah, I
and
think
we
it
give
comes.
and we give that opportunity to students. So that's really where it boils down to, and we offer good feedback to them. And um, it's been a successful program so far, and we've helped out a lot of people.
That's excellent, and it's kind of the thing, pay it forward, and your experience, like you say, you've been in it, you've been in the trenches, you fought the battles. Sometimes you've lost the wars and things like that, so you've learned to better yourself and to share that, not only the knowledge but the practical experience. That's going to be so much beneficial for the next generations that come after us and everything like that. So I appreciate you doing this, because that's such an amazing thing to do, and to offer from yourself, and it makes you feel good, but also too, you're given to that next generation, and they benefit from it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like at Media Pulse, like, our aim is to help. That's all we want to do, is to help out, do the ethical thing. We really just want to make it easy for our clients to do what they do best, and we handle what we do best. So let us be the ones that messed up 1,000 times so you don't have to.
Definitely. And for everyone, next Wednesday, going to have a great guest. We're going to be talking about corporate events. We're going to be talking about industry events and industry conferences. And really, when it comes down to having very dynamic and very unique type of marketing events and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to next Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time here on LinkedIn Live. Jake, I so greatly appreciate this opportunity to have another conversation with you, get it live and then get it out on video. And I definitely would love to have you back again.
I appreciate it too, Jim. It's always a pleasure being on with you.
Excellent. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a good week. See you next Wednesday at noon.